After 10 years abroad, I came home. And who I found living with my husband shattered my heart. I'm standing in front of the house I bought with my own money. The house I left behind when I moved to London for what was supposed to be a temporary assignment. My hand trembles as I grip the handle of my suitcase. The key is still in my purse, the same key I've carried across continents, through airports, through a decade of building something I thought we both wanted. I can hear laughter inside, children's laughter, and a woman's voice, warm and familiar in a way that makes my stomach turn. I haven't told Marcus I'm coming home early. I wanted it to be a surprise. 10 years of video calls, of I miss yous whispered through screens, of promises that we were building towards something bigger. And now I'm about to open this door and find out what that something really was. What would you do if you came home after a decade and found your life had been rewritten without you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Before we dive into what happened next, I need you to do something for me. Because stories like mine, real stories about real heartbreak and real betrayal, they need to be heard. And YouTube's algorithm won't show this to anyone unless you help. So right now, hit that subscribe button. Not later. Right now. Because if you're the kind of person who stops scrolling when you see real pain, real truth, you're my people. And that like button. Press it. Tell the algorithm that messy, complicated, devastating stories matter. Then drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Because I want to know that I'm not alone in this. That somewhere in Lagos, in Accra, in London, in Atlanta, someone else understands what it feels like when the life you built crumbles in front of you. Do it now. I'll wait. Because what I'm about to tell you will make you question everything you think you know about love, loyalty, and the lies we tell ourselves to survive. The key turns smoothly in the lock, like it's been used recently, kept oiled and maintained. Of course it has. This is still someone's home. Just not mine anymore. The door swings open, and the first thing that hits me is the smell. It's different. The house smells like vanilla and coconut oil, like Sunday dinners and lived-in warmth. It doesn't smell like the ghost house I left behind. The place Marcus and I rattled around in before I got the job offer from Ashford & Klein, the architecture firm that promised to make me senior partner if I proved myself in their London office. Just 3 years. Marcus had said, holding my face in his hands the night before I left. 3 years, baby. And then we'll have everything we ever wanted. Build your career, make that money, and I'll hold down the fort here in Atlanta. 3 years turned into 5. 5 turned into 7. And somewhere around year 8, the video calls got shorter. His eyes started drifting off camera. My questions about his day got vaguer answers. But we were solid. We were Marcus and Amara, high school sweethearts who'd survived college in different states, who'd built a business together. His construction company, my designs. We were the couple people pointed to and said, see? Real love exists. I step into the foyer, and my breath catches. The walls are a soft sage green now, not the cream we'd chosen together. There are photos everywhere. A gallery wall climbs the staircase, frame after frame of faces I don't recognize. No, wait. I do recognize one face. Marcus, younger, laughing, his arm around a woman. A girl really, in a graduation gown. The photo is old, maybe 15 years. My heart starts hammering because I know that face. I know those eyes. Daddy, can I have another piece? A child's voice rings out from the kitchen, high and sweet. Just one more, princess. Then you gotta save room for dinner. That's Marcus. His voice is exactly the same. That deep rumble that used to vibrate through my chest when he held me. I walk toward the kitchen like I'm in a dream, my heels clicking on the hardwood floors I picked out, the floors I sent money home to install. The kitchen opens up before me, and I see them. Marcus is at the stove, wearing an apron that says, Grill Master. Flipping something in a pan. At the island sits a little girl, maybe 8 or 9, with thick cornrows beaded at the ends, her legs swinging as she nibbles a cookie. She has Marcus's nose, his smile. And at the table, her back to me, sits a woman. Her hair is in long locks, tied up in a colorful wrap. She's laughing at something Marcus said, her hand resting on her pregnant belly, very pregnant, maybe 7 or 8 months. She turns slightly, reaching for a glass of water, and I see her profile. Keisha, Marcus's little sister. The same Keisha who was 17 when I left. The same Keisha I sent money to for college. The same Keisha who called me sis and asked me about life in London and told me she was so proud of me for chasing my dreams. That Keisha is sitting in my kitchen, pregnant, laughing with my husband, while a child who looks exactly like him eats cookies at my island. Marcus. My voice comes out strangled, barely above a whisper, but it cuts through the kitchen like a gunshot. He spins around. The spatula falls from his hand, clattering against the stove. His face drains of color, his mouth opening and closing like he's trying to remember how to form words. Amara. It's not a greeting. It's a gasp. A prayer. A curse all at once. The little girl looks at me with wide, curious eyes. Who's that, Daddy? Keisha turns fully now, her hand instinctively going to her belly, protective. Her eyes meet mine, and I see it there. Guilt, yes, but also something else. Defiance. She stands slowly, carefully, one hand on the table for balance. Amara, she says softly, you're home early. Early? The word rips out of me. Early? I've been gone for 10 years, Keisha. 10 years of sending money home. 10 years of believing I was building something with my husband. 10 years of being told everything was fine here. Marcus finally finds his voice. Baby. Let me explain. Don't you dare call me baby. My hands are shaking so hard I have to clench them into fists. Don't you dare stand there in my house, wearing an apron, cooking for your sister and I look at the little girl, my throat closing. How old is she? Silence. The kind that answers everything. How old is she, Marcus? 9, he whispers. She's 9. The math hits me like a physical blow. 9 years old. I've been gone for 10, which means I look at Keisha, at her belly, at the way she's standing slightly behind Marcus now, like she's seeking protection. From me. Like I'm the threat here. How long? My voice is eerily calm now. The kind of calm that comes right before the storm. How long have you been sleeping with your sister? She's not my sister, Marcus says quickly, desperately. Not by blood. My mom married her dad when we were teenagers, Amara. You know that, so that makes it okay. I laugh. And it sounds unhinged even to my own ears. That makes it okay that you've been playing house with her while I've been in London working 70-hour weeks to fund your construction company? While I've been sending money home for her college? I paid for my own college, Keisha says quietly, and there's an edge to her voice now. With scholarships and loans. The money you sent. Marcus used that for Zoe's daycare. For this house. For us. Us. The word hangs in the air like smoke. You sent me graduation photos. I say, looking at Keisha, my voice breaking. You told me about your boyfriend. You called me sis. You. I can't finish. The betrayal is too big, too consuming. I was 19 when it started, Keisha says, and now her voice is stronger, clearer. 19 and stupid and in love with the only man who'd ever really seen me. You were gone, Amara. You were across the ocean. Living your big life. Sending money like that could replace being here. I was building our future. I shout, and Zoe flinches. I take a breath, trying to control myself. I was doing exactly what we agreed. Marcus. Tell her. Tell her we had a plan. Marcus looks at the floor. We did have a plan. Had. The word is barely a whisper. He finally looks up at me, and his eyes are red-rimmed, tired. Amara, you were supposed to come home after 3 years. Then it was 5. Then 7. Every time I asked when you were coming back, you had another promotion. Another project. Another reason to stay 1 more year. I was here alone in this house, in this city, watching everyone else live their lives while mine was on hold. So you decided to start a new one. My voice cracks. With my money? In my house. It's my house too, he says quietly. I paid the mortgage every month while you were gone. I maintained it. I lived in it. Alone. Until you decided to fuck your stepsister. The words are venom. Zoe starts crying. Keisha moves quickly, gathering her up. Baby, go upstairs. Mommy and Daddy need to talk to Miss Amara. Mommy and Daddy. The words echo in my head as I watch this child. This child who exists because my husband betrayed me. Run up the stairs I designed, in the house I paid for. Crying because of me. When she's gone, Keisha turns back to me. You want to know the truth? Fine. I'll give you the truth. Yes, I was 19. Yes, Marcus was technically married. But you weren't here, Amara. You weren't here for his father's funeral. You sent flowers. You weren't here when his company almost went under. You wired money. You weren't here when he got into a car accident and spent 2 weeks in the hospital. You FaceTimed from the recovery room for 20 minutes between meetings. I was working. I scream. I was working to give us a better life. You were running, Keisha says. And her voice is sad now, not angry. You were running from a life that felt too small. From a man who wanted you here. Not your money. And I was here. I saw him. I saw him hurting. Lonely. Trying to convince himself that what you two had was still real when it had been dead for years. It wasn't dead. I whisper. But even I can hear how hollow it sounds. Marcus steps forward. And I step back instinctively. He stops. Hurt flashing across his face. Amara. I tried to tell you. 3 years ago. I tried to tell you we needed to talk about us. Really talk. You said you were too busy with the Singapore project. 2 years ago, I asked you to come home for Christmas. You said the partners needed you in the office. Last year, He stops, his voice breaking. Last year, I asked you if you were ever coming home or if I should just accept that London was your home now. I remember that call. I remember being irritated because he'd called during my morning coffee, which was his midnight. And I had a presentation in 2 hours. I remember saying something about him being dramatic, about us being fine, about love being bigger than geography. You never said you were unhappy. I say weakly. I said it in every way except the words. He's crying now, tears running down his face. Every time I asked when you were coming home. Every time I mentioned missing you. Every time I tried to talk about our future, and you changed the subject to your career. I was screaming it, Amara. You just weren't listening. So you gave up. My voice is flat now, emotionless. You gave up on us and started a family with her. I didn't give up on us, Marcus says quietly. You did. Years ago. You just didn't tell me. Keisha moves to his side, her hand finding his. The gesture is so natural, so intimate, that it breaks something inside me I didn't know was still whole. I want you out. I say. Both of you. This is my house. My name is on the deed. I paid for it. I want you out. Marcus looks at me with something like pity. Check the deed again, Amara. I refinanced 2 years ago when you missed 3 mortgage payments because you forgot to transfer money from your London account. The house is in my name now. Legally, you're the one who doesn't live here anymore. The room spins. What? You haven't been home in 10 years, he says softly. Legally, you abandoned the property. I had to do it to save the house from foreclosure. You were too busy to deal with it, remember? You signed the papers I sent via DocuSign without reading them. I remember scanning through page after page of what I thought was refinancing paperwork, signing quickly between meetings, trusting him to handle the details because I trusted him with everything. You planned this, I whisper. You planned this whole thing. No, Keisha says firmly. Nobody planned this. Life happened. Messy, complicated, painful life. You made choices. Marcus made choices. I made choices. And here we are. Here we are, I repeat numbly. In my house that's not my house anymore, looking at my husband who's not my husband anymore, and his pregnant. What are you, Keisha? What do you call yourself? She lifts her chin, and I see steel in her eyes that wasn't there when she was 17. I'm his wife. The words land like a bomb. What? We got married 6 months ago, Marcus says quietly. I filed for divorce from you 2 years ago. You never responded to the papers. They were served to your London address. After a year of no response, it went through as uncontested. I'm drowning. I'm standing in the middle of my kitchen. The kitchen I designed, in the house I paid for, and I'm drowning. I never got any papers. They were served to the address on file. The one you gave me. Marcus pulls out his phone. Scrolls, turns it toward me. There's a photo of a courier holding papers in front of my London flat. The date stamped clear. 2 years ago. I remember that day. I remember seeing a courier at the door when I was running late for a meeting. I remember telling the doorman to refuse delivery because I hadn't ordered anything. I remember. Oh God. I thought it was a mistake, I whisper. I thought it was junk mail. It was certified legal documents, Marcus says. That you refused. 3 times. The court took that as acceptance of service. You had every opportunity to fight it, Amara. You chose not to. I didn't know. My voice rises to a scream again. I didn't know it was divorce papers. You could have called me. You could have told me. I did. His voice is flat. I called you the day I filed. You were in a meeting. You texted me back saying you'd call me later. You never did. I tried for 3 months. Amara. 3 months of calls going to voicemail. Texts getting one-word responses. Emails sitting unread. Eventually, I stopped trying. I sink into a chair, my legs giving out. This can't be real. This can't be my life. Keisha waddles to the refrigerator, pours me a glass of water, sets it in front of me. The gesture is so kind, so gentle, that it makes everything worse. I'm not the villain here, she says softly. And neither is Marcus. We're just people who found each other when we were both lonely. Who built something real while you built a career. I'm sorry you're hurt. I really am. But I'm not sorry for loving him. And I'm not sorry for these babies. Babies, I look at her stomach. She nods. Twins. Boys, due in 6 weeks. I'm going to be sick. I stand abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. And I run to the bathroom, the guest bathroom, because I don't know where anything is anymore. I barely make it before I'm vomiting. Heaving up nothing because I haven't eaten since the plane. My body rejecting reality itself. When I finally stop, when I'm sitting on the cool tile floor with my head against the wall, there's a soft knock on the door. Go away. My voice is hoarse. It's me, Zoe. The little girl's voice is small, uncertain. I close my eyes. Sweetie, I need to be alone right now. Are you the lady from the pictures? She asks through the door. The one Daddy used to be married to before Mommy. Before Mommy. Like I'm ancient history. A footnote. Yes, I manage, that's me. You're really pretty, she says. Daddy said you were the smartest person he ever met. He said you build buildings all the way in London. I start crying again silently, tears running down my face. Are you crying? Zoe asks. Mommy says it's okay to cry when you're sad. She says tears are how your heart talks, when your mouth doesn't have words. Your mommy sounds very wise, I whisper. She is, Zoe says proudly. She's a teacher. She teaches kindergarten. All the kids love her. And Daddy says, she makes the best sweet potato pie in the whole world. Even better than Grandma did. Marcus's mother. The woman who welcomed me into their family. Who taught me how to make her son happy. Who told me I was the daughter she always wanted. She died 7 years ago. I sent flowers to the funeral. I couldn't leave London because of a project deadline. Zoe, baby, leave Miss Amara alone. Keisha's voice gentle but firm. Okay, Mommy. Bye. Miss Amara. I hope you feel better. I hear small footsteps retreating. And then silence. I don't know how long I sit there on the bathroom floor. Long enough for the light outside to shift from afternoon gold to evening amber. Long enough for my legs to go numb. Long enough to realize that everything I thought I knew about my life was a story I told myself to justify the choices I made. When I finally emerge, the house is quieter. Marcus is sitting alone at the kitchen table, his head in his hands. He looks up when he hears me. They're upstairs, he says. I thought we should talk. Alone. I pour myself another glass of water. Lean against the counter. What's left to say? I'm sorry, he says simply. I'm sorry it ended like this. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. I genuinely thought you knew. That you'd chosen to just let it go. How could you think that? The anger is gone now, replaced by exhaustion. How could you think I'd just accept that my marriage ended and never say anything? He looks at me. Really looks at me. Because you let everything else go, Amara. You let me go years ago. You just didn't tell either of us. And standing there in the kitchen, looking at this man I loved since I was 17, I realize he's right. Somewhere between year 3 and year 7, between the promotions and the projects and the partnerships, I'd let go of us. I'd convinced myself that love was enough, that our foundation was strong enough to weather any distance, any absence. But love isn't enough. Love needs presence. It needs attention. It needs more than money and video calls and I miss yous whispered across continents. I'd been so focused on building a life I thought we wanted that I'd forgotten to check if he still wanted to be in it. What now? I ask quietly. Marcus stands, walks to a drawer, pulls out an envelope. This is yours. It's the settlement from the divorce. Your portion of the house equity, your share of the business, before I bought you out with the money you sent. It's all there legally documented. I take the envelope, my hands numb. You bought me out. You stopped responding to the business emails 2 years ago, he says. I had to make decisions. I used the money you sent for house expenses to purchase your shares. It's all legal, all fair market value. You'll see when you review it. I should be angry. I should be screaming. But I'm just tired. So impossibly tired. I have a hotel room, I say. I'll get my things and go. Amara. His voice stops me at the door. For what it's worth, I did love you. I loved you so much. But I couldn't keep loving a ghost. I nod, not trusting my voice. As I climb the stairs to our bedroom, to what was our bedroom, I can see the changes everywhere. Different bedding, different curtains, photos of Keisha and Zoe on the nightstand. My things are in boxes in the corner, neatly packed, labeled with my name in handwriting I don't recognize. Someone, probably Keisha, has carefully preserved pieces of my life here. My favorite books. The jewelry box Marcus gave me on our 5th anniversary. The framed photo of us on our wedding day. My dress white lace. His smile wide and proud. I look at that photo for a long time. At the girl I was, so sure that love and ambition could coexist without sacrifice. At the man who promised forever without knowing what forever would cost. I pack the boxes into my rental car as the sun sets, the sky bleeding orange and purple over the Atlanta skyline. Marcus watches from the porch, Keisha beside him, her hand in his. Zoe waves at me from the upstairs window, and I wave back. This innocent child who exists in the space where my marriage used to be. As I drive away, I look in the rearview mirror one last time. They're standing together in the doorway of the house I bought. The family I didn't know existed, illuminated by the warm light spilling from inside. And I realized that somewhere in the last 10 years, while I was building skyscrapers in London, Marcus and Keisha built a life in Atlanta. Not out of malice or revenge, but out of loneliness and proximity and the simple human need to be seen by someone who's actually there. I was so busy building toward tomorrow that I forgot to show up for today. And by the time I remembered, today had already become yesterday, and someone else was living the life I thought was waiting for me. The hotel room is sterile and cold, nothing like the warmth I just left behind. I sit on the edge of the bed, still in my travel clothes, staring at the envelope Marcus gave me. My hands won't stop shaking. Outside, Atlanta pulses with life. Cars honking, people laughing, the world continuing like mine hasn't just imploded. I finally open the envelope. Inside are documents, legal papers printed on crisp white stock, every page stamped and notarized. The settlement breakdown is meticulous. Marcus always was good with numbers, with details, with the things I was too busy to handle. The house, $480,000 equity split. My portion, $240,000, already deposited into an account he opened in my name. The business, Caldwell Construction, had been valued at $1.2 million when he bought me out. My 40% stake, $480,000, transferred in monthly installments over the past year to my London account. I'd never noticed. I'd stopped checking that account, assuming it was just the routine transfers I'd set up years ago. There are receipts, bank statements, every dollar accounted for, even money I'd sent for emergencies, that were never emergencies at all, returned with interest. At the bottom of the stack is a handwritten note on Marcus's letterhead. Amara, I never wanted your money. I wanted you. Everything here is yours by right. I've paid back every dollar you sent after Keisha and I got together, except what went to Zoe's needs, because she didn't ask to be born into this mess. You built an empire in London. I just want you to know that I was never trying to take what you earned. I only ever wanted you to come home. Marcus. I read it 3 times before the words blur behind tears. He gave it all back. Every penny. Like our entire marriage could be reduced to a transaction. Balanced and closed. My phone buzzes. 23 missed calls from my assistant in London. 14 texts from colleagues asking when I'll be back. 3 voicemails from the senior partner reminding me about the Dubai pitch next week. The one that could make me the first black woman to lead our international division. I silence the phone and drop it on the bed. There's a knock at my door. I'm not expecting anyone. For a wild moment, I think maybe it's Marcus, coming to tell me this was all a nightmare. That we can fix this. I open the door, and it's not Marcus. It's my mother, Mama. I haven't called her that since I was a child. In recent years, it's been Mom, in our quarterly video calls. Brief updates about work, weather. Nothing real. She's smaller than I remember. Her hair completely gray now. pulled back in the same bun she's worn my whole life. She's wearing a church dress and her good coat, the one she saves for important occasions. Her eyes are red. "Baby girl," she says, and her voice cracks. "Marcus called me. Can I come in?" I step aside, and she enters, taking in the sterile room. The unopened suitcase, the legal documents spread across the bed. She sits in the only chair, folding her hands in her lap the way she does when she's about to say something I won't want to hear. "How long have you known?" I ask, my voice flat. She closes her eyes. 4 years. The betrayal hits fresh sharp. 4 years. Mama, you knew for 4 years and didn't tell me. What was I supposed to tell you, Amara? Her voice is tired, sad. That your husband was lonely? That he'd found comfort with someone else? You think you would have listened? You think you would have dropped everything and come home? Yes, I shout. Of course I would have. She looks at me with that look, the one that sees through every lie I've ever told, including the ones I tell myself. Would you have? Really? Or would you have been angry for a week, cried on the phone, and then thrown yourself into another project to avoid dealing with it? I open my mouth to argue, but the words die in my throat, because she's right. That's exactly what I would have done. I begged you to come home, Mama says quietly. Every holiday, every birthday, every family reunion. I begged you. And you always had a reason why you couldn't. A project, a client, a deadline. After a while, I stopped asking because I couldn't stand hearing you pick work over family one more time. I was building a career. The argument sounds hollow even to me now. You were running away. She leans forward, her eyes intense. Ever since you were a little girl, you ran from anything that felt too small, too limiting, too ordinary. You were always reaching for more, bigger, better. And there's nothing wrong with ambition, baby. Nothing wrong with wanting greatness. But you can't sacrifice everything else on the altar of success and then be surprised when there's nothing left. Marcus sacrificed me, I say bitterly. He moved on while we were still married. Marcus waited 7 years, Mama says. And there's steel in her voice now. 7 years of sleeping alone in a bed meant for 2. 7 years of going to church alone. To cookouts alone. To every family event alone while people whispered about where his wife was. 7 years of telling people she's coming home soon, when both of y'all knew it was a lie. That man waited, Amara. He waited longer than most would have, so it's my fault. I'm angry now, defensive. It's my fault he cheated. It's not about fault, Mama says, her voice softening. It's about choices. You chose London. You chose your career. You chose to believe that love could survive on crumbs and video calls. And Marcus chose to stop waiting. Neither of you is the villain here. You're just two people who wanted different things, and were too scared to admit it. I sink onto the bed, my head in my hands. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was building our future. You were building your future, Mama corrects gently. And that's okay, baby. That's your right. But you can't build a future with someone when you're not in the same place. Literally or figuratively. Marriage isn't just love. It's presence. It's showing up. It's being there for the boring Tuesdays and the hard Wednesdays. Not just the exciting promotions and the glamorous projects. He has a whole family, I whisper. A daughter, Mama. She's 9 years old. She has his eyes. Mama nods slowly. Zoe. She's a sweet child. Smart. Funny. Loves to read. Just like you did. You've met her. The betrayal compounds, layering like sediment. Several times. Marcus brings her to church. Keisha too. Mama pauses. They're good people, Amara. I know you don't want to hear that right now, but they are. Keisha's a wonderful mother. A dedicated teacher. And Marcus? He's a good father. Better than his daddy ever was to him. Stop. I hold up my hand. Please, Mama. I can't hear about how wonderful they are together. She's quiet for a moment, then says, I'm not trying to hurt you, baby. I'm trying to help you see that this isn't a story with heroes and villains. It's just life. Messy, complicated, painful life. We sit in silence, the hum of the hotel AC the only sound. Finally, I ask the question that's been burning in my chest since I walked into that kitchen. Did he ever really love me? Or was I just convenient until something better came along? Mama's expression softens. Oh, baby. Marcus loved you more than he loved breathing. When you left for London, that man cried in my kitchen for 2 hours. 2 hours of talking about how proud he was of you, how scared he was of losing you, How he was going to make sure nothing changed between y'all. He loved you so much it hurt to watch. Then how could he do this? My voice breaks. Because love isn't always enough, Mama says, simply. You can love someone with your whole heart and still not be able to give them what they need. Marcus needed a partner who was present. You needed a career that fulfilled you. Those two things weren't compatible. Not with the choices y'all were making. Eventually, something had to give. So, I'm supposed to just accept this? Accept that my marriage is over, that he has a whole new family, that everything I thought was mine belongs to someone else now? No, Mama says firmly. You're supposed to grieve. You're supposed to be angry, and sad, and hurt. You're supposed to feel all of it. But then, baby, you're supposed to figure out who you are without him. Who you are when you're not running towards something or away from something. Who Amara Caldwell? No. Amara Jenkins is when she's just standing still. I'd forgotten that was my maiden name. Jenkins. Somewhere in the last 10 years, I'd become so used to being Amara Caldwell that I'd forgotten I was ever anyone else. I don't know how to do that, I admit. Then learn, Mama says. She stands, walks to me, pulls me into her arms. I'm taller than her now, have been since I was 16. But somehow I still fit perfectly under her chin. I sob into her shoulder. 10 years of held-back tears finally breaking free. She holds me like she did when I was little, rocking slightly, humming under her breath. You're going to be okay, she whispers. It doesn't feel like it now, but you will be. You're strong, Amara. You always have been. You just got your strength tangled up with your pride, and now you gotta learn to separate the two. When I finally pull away, my face is swollen, my eyes burning. Mama wipes my tears with her thumbs. The gesture's so familiar, it makes me ache. Come home with me tonight, she says. Don't stay in this cold hotel room. Sleep in your old bed, eat a real meal. Let me take care of you for one night. I nod, too exhausted to argue. As I pack my things, my phone buzzes again. Another call from London. I decline it. For the first time in 10 years, work can wait. Mama's house is exactly as I remember it. The same floral couch, the same family photos on the walls, the same smell of vanilla and lavender from the candles she burns constantly. But there are new photos too, photos I'm not in. Marcus and Keisha's wedding photo. Small but present on the mantle. Photos of Zoe at various ages. A baby, a toddler, a gap-toothed first grader. My mother's refrigerator, once covered with my achievement certificates and awards, now hosts Zoe's artwork and report cards. I didn't erase you, Mama says, watching me take it in. Your photos are still here. But life kept happening, baby. I couldn't freeze everything in place waiting for you to come home. I know, I say, though it hurts to see physical proof that the world moved on without me. She makes me sweet tea and leftover catfish from Sunday dinner. We sit at the kitchen table, the same table where I did homework, where Marcus asked my parents' permission to marry me, where I told them about the London job offer and promised it was temporary. I ran into Keisha's father last month, Mama says, picking at her own plate. He's proud of her, of the life she's built. But he feels terrible about how it happened. He said Keisha cried for weeks before she finally told him about her and Marcus. She knew it was wrong, knew it would hurt people, but she couldn't help how she felt. I don't want to hear about Keisha's feelings, I say sharply. I know you don't, Mama replies calmly. But maybe you should. Because she's not the evil seductress you want her to be. She was a lonely girl who fell for a lonely man. It's a tale as old as time, baby. Doesn't make it right. But it makes it human. I push my plate away, my appetite gone. When did you get so philosophical about infidelity? When I watched my daughter sacrifice her entire life for a career and then act surprised when her life changed without her. Mama's voice is sharper now. You want me to condemn Marcus and Keisha? Fine. What they did was wrong. They should have told you sooner, handled it better, been honest. But you weren't exactly present for that conversation, were you? You were too busy being important in London. The words sting because they're true. I can't believe you're taking their side. I'm not taking anyone's side, Amara. I'm trying to make you see that there are no sides. There's just a bunch of broken people trying to find happiness in the mess they made. She reaches across the table, takes my hand. And you're one of those broken people, baby. You just don't want to admit it. That night, I lie in my childhood bed, staring at the glow in the dark stars I stuck on the ceiling when I was 12. I can hear Mama moving around downstairs. The familiar sounds of her nighttime routine. My phone is on silent, but I can see the notifications lighting up the screen. 47 unread emails. 16 missed calls. 5 texts from my best friend in London asking if I'm okay. I pick up the phone and scroll through my photos. I have to go back months before I find a photo of Marcus. It's from a video call. A screenshot I took because he was laughing at something I said. His head thrown back, his eyes crinkled at the corners. I remember that call. It lasted 12 minutes before I had to go to a meeting. We talked about nothing. Surface pleasantries. The weather. His latest project. We didn't talk about us. About our marriage. About the growing distance between us. We never talked about the real things anymore. I scroll further back. A year ago. 2 years. 3. The photos of Marcus become more frequent, but also more distant. Screenshots of video calls. Text messages. Nothing physical. Nothing real. The last photo I have of us actually together is from 7 years ago, right before I left for London. We're at the airport, his arms around me, my head on his chest. We look happy. We look in love. We look like people who believe their story has a happy ending. I wonder when that photo became a lie. Was it gradual? The love leaking out of our marriage like air from a slow puncture? Or was there a moment, a specific day when Marcus looked at Keisha and realized he could breathe again? I open my text messages and type out a message to Marcus. When did you know it was over? I stare at it for a long time before deleting it. Some questions don't have answers that help. Instead, I text, "Can I see Zoe sometime? When things are less raw." The response comes 3 minutes later. "She'd like that. She asked about you at dinner. Wanted to know if you were okay. A 9-year-old child, born from my husband's infidelity. Worried about my feelings. The irony isn't lost on me. Tell her I'm okay." I type back, even though we both know it's a lie. "Will do. And Amara. I really am sorry. For all of it." I don't respond. Sorry feels too small for the crater left in my life. The next morning, I wake to the smell of bacon and fresh biscuits. Mama's making breakfast. The full spread she used to make on Sundays. Eggs, bacon, biscuits, grits, fresh fruit. It's too much food for 2 people. But I know what she's doing. She's feeding me comfort. The only way she knows how. "You've got a visitor," she says when I come downstairs. She's on the porch. My heart jumps. "Who?" "Go see." I walk to the front door, and through the screen, I see her. Keisha. She's alone, no pregnant belly in sight, just a woman in jeans and a Howard University sweatshirt, her locks pulled back, her face nervous. I push open the screen door. "What are you doing here?" "I needed to talk to you," she says. "Without Marcus. Without my daughter. Without all the noise. Just us." "There is no us," I say coldly. "There's a conversation that needs to happen," she corrects. "And I think you owe it to yourself to hear it." I should slam the door in her face. I should tell her to get off my mother's porch and never come back. But there's something in her eyes, something raw and honest, that makes me pause. "Fine," I say. "You've got 10 minutes. We sit on the porch steps, the morning sun warming the wood beneath us. For a long moment, neither of us speaks. Finally, Keisha breaks the silence. "I'm not going to apologize for loving Marcus," she says. "Or for my children. But I am sorry for how much pain this has caused you. That was never the intention." "What was the intention?" I ask. My voice sharp. "To steal my husband. To not be alone," she says simply. "I was 19. Amara. 19 and lost and trying to figure out who I was. My mom had died 2 years before. My dad was grieving, barely present. Marcus was the only person who saw me, who talked to me like I mattered. And yes, I knew it was wrong. I knew he was married. I knew you were out there somewhere, living your life. But you felt like a ghost, like a story he told about his past, not a real person who was coming back." "I was real," I say. "I was his wife." "You were his wife on paper," Keisha says. And there's no malice in her voice, just truth. "But you weren't his partner. You weren't there for the late-night fears and the early morning coffee and the million tiny moments that make up a life. I was there. Not because I was trying to steal him, but because I was there, physically present, when he needed someone. So this is my fault? I'm getting angry now. You slept with my husband, had his baby, married him, but it's my fault because I had a career." "No," Keisha says firmly. "It's not your fault. It's not anyone's fault. It's just what happened when two people wanted different things from the same man. You wanted a partnership that could survive distance. Marcus wanted a partner who was home. Neither of you was wrong. You just weren't compatible anymore. I hate that she sounds so reasonable, so mature. I want her to be the villain. I need her to be the villain. But she's just a woman who made complicated choices in complicated circumstances. Do you love him? I ask, the question surprising even me. With everything I have, she says without hesitation. He's my best friend, my partner, my home. He's an incredible father to Zoe, and I know he'll be amazing with the twins. He makes me laugh every day. He supports my dreams, celebrates my successes, comforts me when I fail. He's everything I ever wanted in a partner. The description cuts deep because I remember when Marcus was that for me. Before London, before the distance, before we became strangers married to memories. And what am I supposed to do now? I ask, my voice small. Just accept that my entire life was a lie. Your life wasn't a lie, Keisha says. Your marriage ended. That's different. The love you and Marcus shared was real. The years you built together were real. They just ran their course. And that's okay. That's life. It doesn't feel okay, I whisper. I know, she says softly. But maybe someday it will. Maybe someday you'll look back and see that this ending was actually a beginning. A chance to figure out who you are when you're not trying to maintain a long-distance marriage. Who you are when you can just be. We sit in silence for a while, watching cars drive by, listening to birds singing in Mama's garden. Finally, Keisha stands. I should go. Marcus doesn't know I'm here. He'd probably be upset if he knew. She pauses. For what it's worth, he talks about you sometimes. About how smart you are. How talented. He's proud of what you've built in London. He just wishes that I'd built it here. I finish. She nods. Yeah. As she walks to her car, I call out, Keisha. She turns back. Take care of him, I say. And tell Zoe. Tell her I'd like to meet her properly. When I'm ready. Keisha smiles, and it's genuine, warm. She'll love that. She's been asking about the lady who builds skyscrapers. I watch her drive away, and something inside me shifts. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But something like acceptance. Like the first crack in the dam that's been holding back my grief. Mama comes out onto the porch with 2 cups of coffee. She hands me one and sits beside me. That was brave, she says. Listening to her. It was awful. I correct. But necessary, I think. Growth usually is, Mama says, sipping her coffee. So what now? Back to London? I think about my flat in Kensington. My corner office overlooking the Thames. My packed schedule and important clients. I think about the life I've built there. Impressive and hollow. I don't know. I admit. I need to figure some things out first. About what I actually want, not what I think I should want. Mama pats my knee. Well, your room's here for as long as you need it. No pressure, no judgment. Just home. Home. The word feels foreign and familiar all at once. Maybe that's what I need to rediscover. What home actually means when it's not tied to a person or a place, but to myself. My phone rings. It's the senior partner in London. I take a deep breath and answer. Amara, where are you? The Dubai pitch is in 3 days and we need you here. I'm in Atlanta, I say. And I need more time. Time? Amara. This is a career-defining opportunity. You can't just, I need a leave of absence. I interrupt. The words come out stronger than I feel. 3 months. Personal emergency. There's a long pause. 3 months. That's not possible. The Dubai project. The Singapore expansion. We'll all still be there in 3 months. I finish. Or they won't. But right now, I need to take care of myself. Another pause. Is everything okay? No, I say honestly. But it will be. After a tense negotiation, he agrees to 6 weeks. Maximum. It's not enough. But it's a start. I hang up and turn to Mama. I just took a leave of absence from the job I've spent 10 years building. She smiles. Good. Now maybe you can spend some time building yourself. 6 weeks. I have 6 weeks to figure out who I am when I'm not running. 6 weeks to sit in the wreckage of my marriage and decide what I want to salvage. 6 weeks to learn how to be still. The first week, I do nothing. Literally nothing. I sleep until noon, eat Mama's cooking, and stare at the ceiling of my childhood bedroom. My phone buzzes constantly with work emergencies that aren't really emergencies, just people used to me being available 24/7. I ignore most of them. The world doesn't end. The projects continue. Turns out I'm not as indispensable as I thought. The second week, I start going through the boxes Marcus packed for me. Each item is a small archaeology of our marriage. My favorite coffee mug, the one that says architect of my dreams that he gave me on our first anniversary. A sweater of his I used to wear when I was cold. Photos from our wedding. Both of us so young, so sure that love was enough. I cry through most of it. Mama bringing me tissues and tea. Never saying, I told you so. Just holding space for my grief. In the third week, I meet Zoe for real. Marcus drops her off at Mama's house on a Saturday morning. She's wearing overalls and light-up sneakers. Her cornrows freshly done with purple beads at the ends. She's shy at first, hiding halfway behind Marcus's leg. Hi, Zoe. I say, kneeling down to her level. I'm Amara. I know, she says softly. You're the building lady. I am, I confirm. Do you like buildings? She nods enthusiastically. Daddy showed me pictures of the ones you made in London. They're really tall. How do they not fall down? And just like that, we're talking about architecture, about physics and engineering in 9-year-old terms. Marcus watches us for a moment. Something complicated passing across his face, relief, sadness, hope. Then he says he'll be back in 2 hours and leaves us alone. Zoe and I build a tower out of Mama's old playing cards, seeing how high we can get it before it falls. She's patient and methodical, thinking through each placement. She has Marcus's focus, his careful attention to detail. Can I ask you something? She says after our fourth tower collapses. Sure. Why did you live so far away from Daddy? Her eyes are curious, not judgmental. Mommy says sometimes grown-ups have to make hard choices. But I don't understand why you couldn't build buildings here. It's the most honest question anyone's asked me, and it comes from a child. That's a really good question. I say slowly. The truth is, I thought the buildings in London were more important than being here with your daddy. I thought I could have both. But I was wrong. Sometimes we don't realize what we're giving up until it's already gone. She thinks about this, her little face serious. Do you miss him? Yes, I say, and it's the truth. I miss who we used to be together. Mommy says you can miss someone and still be okay without them, Zoe offers. Like I miss my goldfish bubbles. But I'm okay now. I laugh despite myself. That's very wise. Your mommy's right. She's right about lots of things, Zoe says proudly. She says you must be really smart to build those big buildings. She says we should be nice to you because you're having a hard time. Something in my chest cracks open. Keisha told her daughter to be kind to me. The woman who married my husband is teaching her child compassion for the wife who came before. Your mommy sounds like a really good person. I say. She is. Zoe agrees. But she cries sometimes at night. I hear her through the door. She tells Daddy. She feels bad about you being sad. I don't know what to do with this information. That Keisha cries about me. That she carries guilt even though she's building a life with the man she loves. When Marcus comes back, Zoe runs to him, chattering excitedly about the card towers we built. He looks at me over her head, a question in his eyes. She's wonderful, I tell him. You're doing a good job with her. We're doing a good job. He corrects, and I know he means him and Keisha. Thank you for spending time with her. It means a lot. Can she come back? I surprise myself by asking. Marcus smiles, and for a moment, I see the man I fell in love with at 17. Anytime. After they leave, Mama finds me on the porch, wiping tears I didn't know I was crying. That child is something special, she says. She is, I agree. And it's killing me that she exists because of my failure. She doesn't exist because of your failure. Mama corrects. She exists because two people found each other. You can be sad about your marriage ending and still see that child as the blessing she is. Those two things can both be true. The fourth week, I do something I haven't done in years. I go to therapy. Dr. Williams is a black woman in her 60s with kind eyes and zero patience for my deflections. When I try to spend the first session talking about Marcus and Keisha, she stops me. We'll get to them, she says. But first, I want to talk about you. When's the last time you did something just because it made you happy? Not because it advanced your career or checked a box. I sit there for a full minute in silence because I genuinely can't remember. That's what I thought, she says. So here's your homework. Every day this week, Do one thing that serves no purpose. Accept joy. Not productivity. Not networking. Not career building. Just joy. It's harder than it sounds. The first day, I walked through Piedmont Park for an hour. No destination. No agenda. Just walking. It feels wasteful at first, like I should be doing something productive. But then I see a father teaching his daughter to ride a bike, and an old couple holding hands on a bench, and a group of kids playing soccer, and something in me softens. The second day, I bake cookies with Mama, her grandmother's recipe that I haven't made since high school. We make a mess of the kitchen, flour everywhere, laughing when I burn the first batch. The cookies are imperfect and delicious. The third day, I drive to the community center where Keisha teaches. I don't go in. I just sit in my car and watch through the windows as she reads to a circle of kindergartners, all of them looking up at her like she hung the moon. She's animated, acting out the story, making them laugh. She's good at this. Really good. And I realized that while I was in London building skyscrapers, she was here building futures, one child at a time. Both matter. Both have value. They're just different kinds of architecture. In the 5th week, I have coffee with Marcus. Just coffee. At a neutral Starbucks, sitting outside where the autumn air is crisp and the leaves are turning gold. It's awkward at first, both of us too careful with our words, dancing around the wreckage between us. How are you really? He asks. And I can tell he genuinely wants to know. I'm processing, I say. Learning things about myself I don't particularly like. Realizing I made a lot of assumptions about what our marriage was. He nods. I made assumptions too. I assumed you'd eventually choose us over your career. That one day you'd wake up and miss me enough to come home. I waited for that day for 7 years, Amara. And it never came. I thought I was choosing us, I say. I thought building my career was building our future together. I know you did, he says. And maybe in a different relationship, with different people, it would have worked. But I needed more than video calls and wire transfers. I needed a partner I could touch, who was there for the mundane moments, not just the celebrations. Keisha gave you that, I say. And it's not an accusation anymore. Just a statement of fact. She did. He confirms. She was there when my dad died. When I got the accident. When the business almost went under. She showed up. Amara. Every day. Even when it was hard. And I didn't. I finish. You couldn't. He corrects gently. Or wouldn't. I'm not sure which. But the result was the same. And eventually, I had to choose to live my life instead of waiting for hours to start. We sit in silence, sipping our coffee, watching people walk by with their own complicated lives. I don't hate you, I finally say. I thought I would. I wanted to. But I don't. I don't hate you either, Marcus replies. I loved you, Amara. Part of me always will. You were my first love. My first everything. But we grew into different people who wanted different lives. That doesn't make either of us wrong. It just makes us incompatible. I wish you'd told me sooner, I say, about Keisha, about the divorce papers, about all of it. I tried, he says, and there's old pain in his voice. Maybe not hard enough. Maybe I should have gotten on a plane and forced you to listen. But I was angry too, Amara. Angry that I was always the one reaching out, always the one trying to bridge the gap. Always the one making our marriage a priority while you made your career one. Eventually, I got tired of fighting for something you seemed fine letting go. The truth of it sits heavy between us. We both failed each other in different ways. We both made choices that led us here. To this Starbucks, legally divorced, emotionally exhausted, trying to find a way to be in each other's lives for the sake of a little girl who loves us both. Zoe asked if she could invite me to her school's Grandparents' Day thing. I say, changing the subject, before it gets too heavy. She said I could be her special adult, since Mama's coming as her grandma. Marcus smiles, genuine and warm. She really likes you. She told me you're cool for someone old. I'm 36, I protest. To a 9-year-old, that's ancient, he laughs. Then his expression turns serious. Thank you. For being good to her. You didn't have to be. She's a kid, I say. None of this is her fault. She deserves all the love and kindness the world can give her. You're going to be okay, Amara, Marcus says. You're one of the strongest people I know. You just forgot that strength doesn't always mean pushing forward. Sometimes it means standing still and feeling everything you've been running from. After we part ways, I sit in my car for a long time, crying again, but differently this time. Not the sharp, shock tears of fresh betrayal, but the deeper, quieter tears of grief for something that was beautiful once and is now truly over. The 6th week, Dr. Williams asks me the question I've been avoiding. What do you actually want, Amara? Not what you think you should want. Not what would look good on paper. What do you want? I open my mouth to say, my marriage back, or my old life back, but the words won't come because they're not true. I don't want my marriage back. That marriage was built on assumptions and absences, and a version of love that couldn't survive reality. And my old life? The one where I worked 80-hour weeks and measured my worth in billable hours and square footage? I don't want that either. I don't know. I finally admit. I've spent so long being the woman who had it all figured out, who had the plan, who knew exactly where she was going. And now I'm just lost. Good, doctor, Williams says. And I look at her like she's crazy. I'm serious. Lost is good. Lost means you've stopped following a map that wasn't taking you where you actually wanted to go. Now you get to figure out your real destination. That sounds exhausting, I say. It is, she agrees. But it's also necessary. So let me ask you differently. When you imagine your life 5 years from now, what does it look like? And don't think about it. Just answer with your gut. I'm in a city I love, I hear myself say. Not hiding in an office, but actually living in it. I know my neighbors. I go to a farmer's market on Saturdays. I design buildings that matter to the community, not just buildings that impress clients. I have a garden, maybe a dog, relationships that are present and real, not maintained through screens. A life that's smaller than what I have now, but fuller, richer, real. That's beautiful, Dr. Williams says. So what's stopping you? London, I say. My career. Everything I've built. Or, she offers, everything you've hidden behind. The words hit like a slap, true and sharp. I have been hiding. Hiding from intimacy, from vulnerability, from the messy reality of being fully present in my own life. Work was safe. Achievement was measurable. Success was something I could control. Love, presence, connection, those were risks. And I'd spent 10 years avoiding risk in my personal life while taking huge risks in my professional one. My 6 weeks are almost up when I make the call. The senior partner in London is not happy. You're making a mistake, Amara, he says. His British accent clipped with disapproval. You're on track to be the youngest senior partner in the firm's history. You'd throw that away. I'm not throwing it away, I say calmly. I'm choosing something else. I'm moving back to Atlanta. I want to open my own practice here. Focus on community development and sustainable housing. That's career suicide. He sputters. You'll be designing strip malls and subdivisions instead of skyline-defining structures. Maybe. I agree. Or maybe I'll be designing homes where families actually live. Schools where children learn. Community centers that bring neighborhoods together. Maybe I'll build things that matter to the people who use them. Not just things that look good in magazines. There's a long pause. We'll need you to wrap up your current projects. I can do 3 months remotely. I offer. Train my replacement. Transition my clients. But after that, I'm done. After I hang up, I sit for a long time, waiting to feel regret or panic or fear. Instead, I feel light, like I've been carrying a weight I didn't realize was there. And I've finally set it down. Mama finds me on the porch that evening, watching the sun set over Atlanta. I'm staying. I tell her before she can ask. Not here with you. You've put up with me long enough. But in Atlanta. I'm coming home for real this time. She doesn't say, I told you so, or it's about time. She just sits beside me and takes my hand. Welcome home, baby girl, she says. For real this time. The next Saturday, I go to Zoe's school event. The building is decorated with construction paper leaves and children's artwork. Zoe spots me the moment I walk in and runs over, her face lit up like Christmas morning. You came, she shouts, grabbing my hand. Come meet my teacher and my best friend Jasmine. And look at the project I made about community helpers. I let her drag me around the classroom, introducing me to everyone as Miss Amara, who builds buildings in London but is moving back to Atlanta. Keisha is there, heavily pregnant now, moving slowly but radiating warmth. When our eyes meet, something passes between us, not friendship exactly, but understanding. Respect. Thank you for coming, she says. It means the world to Zoe. And to me. Thank you for raising an incredible kid, I reply. She's lucky to have you as her mom. Keisha's eyes fill with tears. That means more than you know. Marcus arrives late, straight from a job site, still in his work boots. He hugs Zoe, kisses Keisha's forehead, and nods at me a small acknowledgement of the strange new family configuration we're building. Later, as I'm leaving, Zoe runs up and hugs me around the waist. Will you come to my birthday party? It's next month. I'm turning 10. Daddy's building me a treehouse. I look at Marcus, who shrugs, a small smile playing at his lips. You're welcome to come. If you want. I'd love to, I tell Zoe. What do you want for your birthday? A book about women architects, she says immediately. Daddy says you know all about them. My heart swells. This child, born from the end of my marriage, asking me to share the knowledge I've spent my life building. Maybe there's poetry in that. Maybe there's healing. I'll find you the best one, I promise. That night, I sit in the apartment I've just rented in Inman Park, surrounded by moving boxes. My laptop open to the business registration page for my new firm. I hover over the name field for a long time before typing. Jenkins Design Collective. Not Caldwell. Jenkins. My name. My identity separate from the marriage that defined me for so long. My phone buzzes. It's a text from Marcus. Thank you for today. Zoe hasn't stopped talking about you. You're going to be great for her. And I think she'll be great for you too. I type back. I think you're right. And Marcus? Thank you. For everything. For loving me when I didn't know how to love myself. For letting me go when I needed to figure it out. For being a good father and showing me what I was missing by never being present. His response comes quickly. You would have been an amazing mother if we'd had kids. Just so you know. It wasn't your fault we didn't. The words break something open in me that I didn't know was closed. We'd tried, in those early years, before London. It never happened. I'd always wondered if my body knew, somehow, that I wasn't ready to be present for a child when I could barely be present for my marriage. Maybe in another life. I text back. Maybe, he agrees. Be well, Amara. I mean that. You too. I set my phone down and look around my new apartment. It's small. Nothing like my London flat with its river views and architectural drama. But it has good light, hardwood floors, and a balcony where I can see the Atlanta skyline. The same skyline I left behind 10 years ago. Chasing a dream that turned out to be a beautiful prison. Dr. Williams was right. I'd been lost, following a map to a destination I didn't actually want to reach. And now, at 36, divorced, starting over in the city I left behind, I'm more lost than ever. But for the first time in a decade, I'm also found. Found in the quiet moments of baking with my mother. Found in the laughter of a little girl who's teaching me that families come in unexpected forms. Found in the decision to build something smaller but more meaningful. Found in the terrifying freedom of not having all the answers. I pull out my journal, the one Dr. Williams made me start keeping, and write. Today I learned that coming home doesn't mean going backward. It means finally standing still long enough to figure out where forward actually is. I learned that my ex-husband's daughter might become one of the most important people in my life. I learned that the woman who married my husband isn't my enemy, she's just another person trying to build happiness from complicated circumstances. I learned that my mother was right about almost everything, and that's both annoying and comforting. I learned that strength isn't about never breaking, it's about breaking honestly, feeling all of it, and choosing to build something new from the pieces. I learned that I've spent 10 years running from a life that felt too small, only to discover that what I was really running from was myself. The parts of me that were scared of being ordinary, of being enough without the achievements and accolades. The parts that needed to be seen and validated constantly because I didn't know how to see and validate myself. I pause, pen hovering over paper, then write one more line. I learned that sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same thing. And I'm finally brave enough to choose it. Outside, Atlanta hums with life. Sirens in the distance. Music from a neighbor's open window. The city where I was born. Where I fell in love. Where I built my first dreams and watched them crumble. Where I'm now building again. Differently this time. With my eyes open. 3 months later, I'm at Zoe's 10th birthday party. The treehouse Marcus built is impressive. With windows and a pulley system for bringing up snacks. Kids are everywhere. running through the backyard, their laughter filling the autumn air. Keisha is directing traffic, 7 months postpartum with twins who are asleep in a playpen on the deck. Marcus is grilling, wearing that same grill master apron, looking tired but happy. I'm helping set up the cake table when Zoe runs over. The book I gave her clutched in her hands. I read the whole thing, she announces. About Zaha Hadid and Maya Lin and all of them. Did you know Maya Lin was only 21 when she designed the Vietnam Memorial? I did know that, I say, smiling at her enthusiasm. Pretty cool, right? So cool. She agrees. When I grow up, I want to design buildings too. But buildings that help people. Like homeless shelters and schools and stuff. My heart swells. That's a beautiful dream, Zoe. Will you help me, she asks, like, teach me stuff. I look over at Marcus, who's watching us with a soft expression. He nods. A small gesture of permission and trust. I'd be honored, I tell her. As the party continues, I find myself talking with Keisha, both of us watching the chaos of 10-year-olds hopped up on birthday cake. The twins are beautiful, I tell her. You look exhausted. She laughs. That's because I am. Marcus is amazing, but 2 babies is no joke. How are you? The new firm. Good. I say, and I mean it. Slow, but good. I'm working on a community housing project in Southwest Atlanta. Not glamorous, but meaningful. That's what matters, Keisha says. Then, hesitantly, can I tell you something? Sure. I was terrified to meet you, she admits. I built you up in my head as this perfect woman, brilliant and accomplished and beautiful. Everything I wasn't. And when you showed up that day, when you came home, I thought you'd fight for him. I thought you'd hate me forever. I did hate you, I say honestly. For about 2 weeks. But then I realized you weren't the villain in my story. You were just a person living her life, same as me. And hating you was exhausting. I'm glad, she says. Because I'd like us to be okay. Not best friends or anything. But okay. For Zoe's sake. And for yours and mine. Life's too short to carry that kind of anger. Agreed, I say. We stand there in comfortable silence for a moment before I add. You're good for him, you know. Marcus. He's happier than I've seen him in years. He's happy because he's home, Keisha says. Really home. Not just physically present. And from what he tells me, you're finally home too. Just in a different house. She's right. I am home. Home in my skin. In my choices. In a life that's mine by design rather than default. As the sun sets and parents start collecting their sugar-crashed children, I help clean up, stacking paper plates and collecting stray balloons. Marcus walks over, 2 trash bags in hand. You didn't have to stay and help, he says. I wanted to, I reply. It was a good party. It was, he agrees. Then, you look happy, Amara. Really happy. I'm getting there, I say. Turns out, building a life is harder than building a skyscraper. But more rewarding. He laughs. Ain't that the truth? As I'm leaving, Zoe runs up one last time and hugs me tight. Thanks for coming, Miss Amara. And thanks for my book. I'm gonna read it again. Anytime, sweetheart, I tell her. Driving home through Atlanta streets now familiar again. I think about the last 10 years. The choices made, the prices paid, the lessons learned the hard way. I think about the woman I was when I left ambitious, hungry, convinced that success was measured in square footage and salary figures. And I think about the woman I am now, still ambitious, still hungry, but for different things. For connection, for presence, for a life that's rich in relationships, not just accomplishments. My phone rings. It's my mother. How was the party? She asks. Perfect, I tell her. Chaotic and loud and perfect. Good, she says. Come by for dinner tomorrow. I'm making your favorite. I'll be there, I promise. And I will be. Because that's what I do now. I show up. I'm present. I'm here, fully and completely, in my life as it actually is. Not as I wish it would be, or thought it should be. Is it the life I planned at 25? No. Is it smaller in some ways than what I had in London? Yes. But it's also bigger in meaning, in connection, in joy. Bigger in all the ways that actually matter. So to anyone watching this, anyone who's ever sacrificed everything for a career only to realize you sacrificed the wrong things, anyone who's come home to find home has moved on without you. I see you. I've been you. I am you. And here's what I learned. You can't build a life remotely. You can't maintain love through screens and good intentions. Presence matters. Showing up matters. Being there for the boring Tuesdays and difficult Wednesdays matters more than being there for the celebrations and milestones. I learned that sometimes what feels like the end is actually a beginning. That divorce doesn't always mean failure. Sometimes it means two people were brave enough to admit they wanted different things. That the person who stole your spouse might actually just be a person who showed up when you didn't. I learned that children born from complicated circumstances can still be blessings. That family can be redefined. That grace is harder than anger but infinitely more freeing. Most importantly, I learned that you can spend a decade building an empire and still be bankrupt in the things that matter. But you can also start over. You can come home, not to a place or a person but to yourself. So this is me, Amara Jenkins, formerly Caldwell, architect, ex-wife, friend to my ex-husband's daughter, builder of a smaller but more meaningful life, telling you, wherever you are in your story, whatever choices led you here, it's not too late to change direction. It's not too late to stop running and start standing still. It's not too late to build something real. My marriage ended. My career changed. My entire life got turned upside down. And you know what? I'm okay. More than okay. I'm finally, actually, genuinely happy. Not because everything worked out the way I planned, but because I stopped trying to control the plan and started living the life I actually have. And that, viewers, is the real story. Not about betrayal or revenge, or who was right and who was wrong, but about a woman who lost everything she thought defined her and discovered that she was still standing, still whole, still capable of building something beautiful from the ruins. That's the story. That's my story. And maybe, in some way, it's yours too. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. We're all just trying to find our way home. Sometimes we just need to be reminded that home isn't a place, it's a choice we make every day to show up for ourselves and the people who matter. Drop a comment telling me what you learned from Amara's story, and I'll see you in the next one.